Welcome back to episode 13 of Double X Download. Brian Clapper and Brad Weaver, your hosts, as always, and sponsored by Dust Pods, our weekly sponsor in and out. The dust control product, the performance stabilizer, Champion Cartway, Pitside Cart Supply, and I'll hand it over to Brad to take care of his sponsors.
Yeah, also we got to thank Heinz Energy for coming on board again in the 2024 season, and also Snake Creek Marine. Those guys have generously helped us out last year and this year, and hopefully looking forward to making a long-term partnership with those guys. And also new on board this year is Liberty Carpet out of Halstead, PA. And just want to thank them again for coming on board and helping us out, and helping Brad Weaver Racing out and Mark Terry Racing in the 2024 season. Also, I'd like to shout out that we are live on Twitch as well. So if you are a Twitch subscriber, check us out at Weaver Racing 1A, and subscribe on Twitch. If you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe for free. And all the viewership definitely helps us out.
Yeah, and while we're subscribing to things, YouTube, we do have a YouTube channel up, and we have started uploading the videos on there. If you look up Double X Motorsports Promotions on YouTube, we can get our following up on there, get some watch hours down there, get enough subscribers. We can actually go live on YouTube as well, so to benefit the non-Facebook having folks of the world, which turns out there are a lot of them. There are a lot, but yeah, this week for topics of conversation, we put a post out there and got some feelers for what you guys want to talk about, and also a big shakeup in the late model world with Hudson O'Neal losing his ride, and T-Mac jumping in to that empty nest.
Yeah, I really excited actually myself as a T-Mac fan. I think most of Northeast is a T-Mac fan for the late models. I personally love to see it. It's kind of a nice go around or whatever for him. He's nearing. I've heard talks nearing towards the end of his racing career with the late model. We're all getting older, and T-Mac as well.
Listen, Bloomquist is like 70.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying
T-Mac can keep going for 20.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's out of the realm or anything, but we're getting to the end of that whole deal. A lot of new guys coming up like Hudson O'Neal, and it's nice to see T-Mac kind of come full circle with the Rocket team, and get into the Rocket 1 ride and get back into a Rocket where he kind of started his late model career. That's exciting. I think that's a.
Sucks for Hudson O'Neal losing both his Rocket rides.
Well, beyond the point, I'm talking about T-Mac. T-Mac has got a great opportunity. It's nice to see him back in the Rocket cars. It's nice to see him with the Rocket 1 house car. It's been a very successful team. They've got a great resources, great support, and I think it's what T-Mac needed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a game changer for him for sure. Not that he was in a bad ride by any means, but there ain't no car like the Rocket House car. There's a couple. You've got the Rocket House car. Rumley, and what was the Bloomquist cars for a while? It was Bloomquist and somebody else. And they were working together. Team Zero. I mean, that's pretty stout as well. Those guys are definitely championship winning teams that have done it consistently for years and years and years. So great to see T-Mac in one of the top tier teams in the late models. Regardless of how the circumstances are that he got there, it doesn't really matter to me. As a T-Mac and a late model fan, I like to see that. I like to see that shakeup. Yeah. I mean, it's it's just one of those things that a lot of rumors floating around. But all I know is we probably shouldn't be poking our stick into that hornet's nest. And
you might get stung.
You might get stung. So yeah,
it's cool. It's neat. It's a very interesting, wild shakeup for the for us Northeast fans, and I think it's something to cheer about. To be honest with you, I'm pretty excited about it. That's about it with the late model deal. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, that's I don't really know a whole lot more about the late model deal. But got through that pretty quick. But the hot topic when we put this post up was the tires, the Hoosier versus American Racer in the Southern Tier, and specifically what's good about it. That's this is a hot topic here, and we're gonna try not to we're gonna try to look at the positives.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's more. We don't want to get onto anything bad here. So the positives are, you got an option now as a racer in the Southern Tier. You've got an option to run a Friday night track and a Saturday night track, whether you like Hoosiers or American Racers. It doesn't matter. You've got two places that you can go to. I think that's part of the great thing about, or one of the best things about having two tires.
Yeah.
Two tire tracks.
Yeah, I mean it kind of sucks for the racers a little bit because we got guys like Kenny Titus is pretty vocal about wishing he could hit more tracks without having to buy different sets of tires and stuff. And I think there's a lot of racers that feel the same way. But looking at the positive, it sounds like Hoosier's throwing a lot more money around than they used to, and trying to match. I mean, American Racers known for giveaways and money and stuff like that. But I guess it's surviving. I know we've talked about some rule changes hurting in the short term and have to be able to survive the long term. I think Spoonhauer's, the Hoosier, having a second track now, having a Friday night track on the Hoosier side of things is going to help them across the board. And I guess some competition between the tires, because there really was. I mean, it was American Racer or Spoonhauer's going Hoosier. This is what, their fourth year.
Not positive on that. Third or fourth. I think this will be their fourth year.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it will be their fourth year. But it sounds like one thing I didn't realize until earlier this evening, is I didn't know they were giving away a tire to every modified feature winner last year up Thunder Mountain. In also apparently B main winners. I know Landon Cummings said he got a free tire for a B main win. Looking at it, I mean personally, I've always been kind of an American racer. Not that I've ever been, a sports or modified guy, but I've watched what American Racers done for local racing and the local tracks and stuff like that. So it's always kind of leaned me towards them. But if Hoosier's going to step up their game, one of them's going to win. Like, it's just a matter of how long they duke it out before either everybody ends up on Hoosiers or the Hoosiers end up back on American Racers, because I don't think fighting for racers is a good idea for the longevity of the sport either. Trying to get them to, you only got so many racers to go around, and you want to pull some guys on their off nights. I know, like, ran out of one track. The days of, Southern Tier wise, I know growing up at Afton, like if Penn Can rained out, I'd be down the track at Afton. I'm sitting in the covered grandstands. I'm looking out the back window looking for the Penn Can cars to come rolling in, and they usually would. This is back a while ago. But when you're, now you're talking about, one Friday night track rains out, whether it be at Afton or Penn Can, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of guys that are going to, all right, pull off the American Racers, put on the Hoosiers. Saturday nights, vice versa with Skyline and Thunder Mountain. And you used to see that too with the rainouts, and especially up there's a lot of nights where one track rains out and the other one doesn't. It's just, I don't know, the mountains or what. But
just coming on to that, or kind of adding with that, when I used to race the IMCA modified for Bob Chapman, it was really neat because there was 3 or 4 tracks around that you could go to on either a Friday or Saturday night. And the first year that I had raced with him, There had been nights that we'd got rained. I think Skyline was racing on Fridays at the time. You know, when they ran IMCA modifieds, we have a race or something scheduled for Pencan, and we'd get rained out at Pencan, and Bob would say, let's go to Skyline. You know, or Pencan would rain out a little bit early, and we'd go to Skyline, or Pencan rained out, and he said, let's go to Skyline, and we get halfway up to Skyline, and then Skyline rained out. But, you know, we could do that potentially on a Friday or a Saturday night, you know, when maybe it was a little bit longer of a haul, and you know, financially, I guess the IMCA was a little bit cheaper than like a modified or a sportsman, because I think at the time it was like $160 for a wheel and tire, like combo. You know, so it wasn't too terrible, and every track was on the same tire. That was the nice thing about the IMCA package, or the rules that they had, and the sanction to begin with, is because everything was the same. It didn't matter what track you went to, everything was going to be the same. You're on the same tire, exact same rules for each individual track. Nothing changed. You know, you could take your car and go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it was also really nice because, you know, under the sanction, you were racing for weekly points, you were racing for track points, you were racing for regional points, state points, national points, and there was contingency payouts for each individual, you know, category, you know, that you raced for. So there was a lot of incentive to follow with the IMCA sanction and the rules, and I think that was one of the best things that you know, that's the best model, I would say, that you could base off of for any kind of sanctioning body, traveling series, or weekly racetrack. I mean, the way that they modeled their rule package and consistency across the board, definitely, and also brought in contingencies for incentives. You needed to have incentives, right?
Right.
To go with that program, or to say, yes, I'll pay the sanction fee and have these cars race at my track, you know, was the contingencies. You know, I think that business model was perfect for...
Yeah, I love the IMCA business
kind of
model.
What you want to see in the Northeast. I think that model is kind of what I would like to see, say, Deo and Dirt Car get a little closer together on, is something along that model where you could just take your car and go anywhere. I think that is great.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I've always I love IMCA's business model. You can take your car anywhere in the country. If you have an IMCA hobby stock, if you have an IMCA stock car, IMCA modified, I think they have a sprint car class, late models. And you know, if it's an IMCA class, you're legal. Yeah. I mean,
you don't have to worry about anything.
Right. And you know, and that's
one track being different body heights or whatever, like, you know, tire rules or body rules or exhaust, whatever, anything.
Right.
Like you kind of see with the crates. Sorry, I didn't switch the camera.
We can't.
You kind of see that a little bit more with the crates and the dirt car versus the Deo rules. Is, you know, they're not. I know there's talk about them getting closer together, and I think that's exactly what the sport needs. But it started, the dirt car rules and the outlaw tracks, their rule package kind of started to get a little too far spread apart, where it became you almost had to choose.
Both, and that was about it.
Well, you almost had to choose. It almost forced you to choose one path or the other. You know, and ultimately, I don't think that's what, you know, us Southern Tier guys would like to see, is where you have to choose one path or the other. You know, I think the ability for us to be able to take one car and not have to spend a bunch of extra money to either buy another car or have extra parts and have to switch everything over.
Right.
You know. Us budget guys, that's where we need to be. Guys like Kenny Titus, somebody like myself, you know, most of the core of the Southern Tier is probably in that area.
Yeah. Scott Underwood, IMCA, why did it fail around here? Brad, what's your opinion on that one?
Well, ultimately, it's just it's it's not the Northeast Modified, honestly, I think is the biggest reason why it failed.
I think that's a big part of it, but I also think that losing Ed Billings.
Well,
When Ed, at one time that IMCA class, I remember going to Scotland, there'd be 45, 50 modifieds, IMCA modifieds for an Empire Series race there. We're going back 20 years, but
you'd see 35, 36, sometimes 45 cars,
Yeah,
and an Empire Series race. I think that's a great point as well, as the loss of promotion in the area is definitely has a major hand in it. I know towards the end, Joe Scottnicki and Ed Billings were the guys. They were the IMC. I think Joe was the tech inspector / co-promoter, and Ed Billings was he was the Northeast Region director.
Yeah,
Ed poured his heart and soul into the IMCA class.
He did. He worked his ass off to build that, and he did a great job with it. And then they were without leadership for. When they kind of IMCA kind of snubbed the Northeast with not hiring a regional director for a while,
I think part of that was Joe Scottnicki had opted out when the ROC asphalt series was up for sale,
right?
And I think there was some falling out right there. He had left. Ed was still around, and Joe went the way of the ROC asphalt stuff, and. Ed was kind of at the end of his run, so to speak. With his promotions, he was getting older and whatnot, and starting to become unable to do everything that he used to do to make the class so good.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep rambling on about that, but I think that's a major point in why it failed as well.
Yeah, and I think while I don't think we'll ever see the numbers like we did again, I think it went so long, the class kind of fizzled out there. But now they've got a regional director again, they've got a series again, and the numbers are coming back. And, and Jake Maynard's doing he's doing a great job with it. I love seeing it. I love that it seems to be making a return. You're starting to see it. There's some tracks that dropped them. They're coming back. Either part-time, full-time, whatever. Numbers are growing. I think that's a good thing for the class, and hopefully these track promoters can stand behind him and see that he seems to be in it for the long term. Like he's determined.
Yeah,
he's been busting his ass on this IMTJ thing for 3 or 4 years now with the series, so I think I don't think it's dead. I think he's given it the CPR that it needs, and now it's a little bit of chemo, a little bit of radiation, and maybe
jump some life back into the class. The work that Jake has done over the last 3-4 years, he's pretty much taken a dying class and shot a little life back into it for sure. I think that there's definitely some potential to get that class up and running again and start seeing some of the numbers that we had when I was racing the class. I think. Turn that volume down.
Let me find that. Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to read the. I can't. Been able to figure.
You turn the volume on.
Yeah,
the computer. We have
I enlarged the screen.
It's all good.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the comments.
You lost me now.
All right,
sorry.
So
back to Jake, and the work that he's been doing has been great. I think that he can kind of bring back some of the numbers that we used to see back when I was racing with Bob Chapman back in the early 2000s, 2007 to about 12, 13 or so, maybe a little bit before that. Was where you started to see the class start to die out.
Yeah.
But also, I think that's really neat that Close Racing Supplies started to get a little bit of competition move up their way. I know BSB and BMS and Close Racing Supply all work really tight together and kind of had a little bit of they've got a little bit of a stronghold a little bit here on the Northeast, being closer to New York, and now with Lethal Chassis, David Stremme and Lethal coming up, there should be some competition there. Chassis-wise, here in the Northeast, and as anything, I think competition just makes the sport better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I lost my focus there for a minute. I forgot where the heck I am. Let's see what we got for some comments in here.
We're talking about tires, though. We got off topic of
we went
tires.
off on a tangent. Okay, so back.
Positives on tires.
The positive.
Again, we'll talk about some positives. Back, when Thunder Mountain decided to do this Hoosier deal, I was kind of. It was nice. We all had. There was 4 tracks basically that we could go to, 4, 5 that you could go to, that all ran American racers.
Yeah.
And like you said, if one rained out one night, you could go to another one. Thunder Mountain went to the Hoosiers, and myself being closer to like 5 Mile and Pencan, they were still American racers. I couldn't necessarily afford to to buy another set of Hoosiers, or buy American racers for Friday and then Hoosiers for Saturday. Now, guys that are closer to Afton or somewhere a little bit more centrally located, closer to Thunder or Afton, now they don't have to worry about Thunder Mountain just being on an island. They've got 2 tracks again that they could race at.
Yeah.
That's positive.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's hard to come up with too many more positives on splitting fields up, but like I said, it's the long term.
Well, it allows a guy that's say close to Thunder Mountain, that say his home track is Thunder Mountain. He lives 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
He'd love to race on a Friday night, but that's his closest track, and he can only afford to buy Hoosiers. So he doesn't make a trip down to Pencan or Afton or 5 Mile. It's because he doesn't have, the money to buy American racers.
Yep.
So now he can race on a Friday night. He can go to Afton. Make the travel down to Afton.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to buy another set of tires.
Yeah.
So it's good. The positive, I think, the main thing here is the big positives are guys for the Hoosier guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, I personally, I don't really care, one or the other. Both, if I could afford to buy all, I would. If there was a third tire manufacturer that was allowed, and I could afford to buy it, I would. I mean, a racer's gonna. Well, they did. Goodyear was around for a while. There was multiple manufacturers that you could choose from, and that back in the day there was a lot of these tracks and whatnot, the tires were open, and you could choose whatever you wanted. McCreary, Goodyear, Hoosier, didn't matter. Mickey Thompson, when they were running the big tires, I think Mickey Thompson had a tire that you could run. So that's an interesting kind of a rule or an outtake or whatever too, is you had multiple manufacturers, you had multiple compounds that you could try and you could run, and it was open to anything. And then you had guys that were sponsored by tire manufacturers.
Yep.
That they were only running that tire, that manufacturer's tire. Things were a lot different back then, but 5 Mile opened up their tire rule the last couple of years to allow Hoosiers in, and I was able to find some success with my team, and at the end of the year, a couple of years ago, running a set of Hoosiers where everybody else had American racers.
Yeah.
And if you go back in time, myself through my crate racing career is I've done that multiple times where, there were times where, the tire rule was opened up. You were allowed to run Hoosiers, and I just thought in my head that whatever, equation I thought that it needed to come out to, for this particular race and the amount of laps and the track surface or whatever, that I thought that a Hoosier would hold up better and have performance at the end, and I turned out to be right. Yeah. So I think that's an interesting topic too, is maybe having some specials at each of these tracks that allow an open tire. I think it definitely broadened the field for 5 Mile and the longevity of their life as a facility. It helped kind of keep cars coming and keep people coming through the end of their career or whatever at 5 Mile.
On the big
so maybe it
level,
might help. Maybe it'll spur on something new at some of these tracks that are more established and still going well.
Yeah. At the big car level, the tire wars are a lot of fun with guys. When you have options of tires, and you see tires. Do you take a tire that's gonna, like, it doesn't matter whether it's full open tire or open compound or whatever, and you see it everything from modified races to NASCAR. I mean, I know not a whole lot of NASCAR fans in here, at least not that you would admit out loud, but I will tell you that the race Sunday at Bristol was entertaining as hell because the tires weren't lasting 35 laps. When they would drop off, they were dropping off 2.5. They were going from like 14.5 second laps to 17. And you'd see guys that'd be a lap down and put on fresh tires. They're like, we can nurse the tires and we can go. And like some guys are crawling around the track, and other guys pass 20 cars in 10 laps because they're going for it. They're trying to get their lap back, and you'd watch a race, you'd see it, and you could see the tires let go. Like, just, I say let go. They weren't going in something like
start doing performance is dropping.
Oh, yeah.
They're starting to degrade.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Kevin Harvick was commentating. He's like, he goes, just shut that one. Just such and such just shut down. And and I turned I hadn't been watching the race, so I didn't quite get just shut off is what he said. Shut off. I'm like, oh, you guys running out of fuel? And they start talking, no, they're running out of tire. Like, the tire was just immediately, you'd go from being able to hammer it and you'd drop 2 seconds a lap, instantly. And it was wild. It made for a hell of a race. If people weren't, these guys can hate on NASCAR all they want. That was a hell of an entertaining race. And not like at NASCAR level, you're worried about dollars, but they were running out of tires. NASCAR was worried about running out of tires. Actually, teams had to beg for more tires because they limit how many they can have. So they had to bring in more tires during the race. Get them all mounted up, give them another, I think it was another set or another 2 sets, something like that, which was great. But the modifieds, the Port Royal.
Yeah, well, you go back a week to Georgetown. That, I don't know if you watched that race, but that was quite an exciting race towards the end with all the flats. You didn't know who was gonna go, who was gonna have a flat or what, And I think that it's a neat deal. I like that they have a tire choice, a compound choice, at least within American Racer, and that you can go. It's like with the late models. The Lucas Oil late models have the 3 different tire compounds that they could choose from. I think that's awesome. I think that's definitely a game changer for the race. It makes things intriguing for the fans. It makes interesting racing towards the end to see who made out on the compounds and who made the right tire choice or the right tire prep choice. I think that's one of the really interesting things that makes this more exciting is the ability for the fan to watch, from a fan's perspective, to watch different guys, start out strong and kind of run out of tire at the end, or they were hoping they were going to make it.
Yeah, everyone's
or the guy that was lurking, that started out on the harder tire and it took him a while to get to get some heat into it and get it working, and it had a little bit of more life towards the end, and you can see him come on strong.
Yeah,
at
I'll
the
tell
end.
you, we've all seen races where it's like, the guy that's running second, you get a 10 or 15 lap green flag stretch, you're like, oh, he is a lot faster than the leader. It's like, okay, is he going to catch him? He's going to have time, and then caution come out.
Yeah.
And then leader just checks out again. But then
Yep.
they get going, another long green flag stretch. You might see somebody else working from the back, working their way up through. And it's those races are entertaining. I mean, this is going to get me shot by my car, guys, but spec tire races.
Go ahead, you could say it. I know where you're going to go.
At the kart level, it's different. It's
spec tire racing, SUCKS, right?
Well, I'm not going to say it sucks because there's always a potential for good racing. But when guys have options, and it may only be a 48 or a 53 option, but that little bit of tire can. I mean, you see these longer distance races. I mean, even 30 lappers. Sometimes you start to see them kick in, but you start getting up in the 50 lappers, 100 lappers, 200s, and you start to see what tires are coming alive and what tires aren't. And to me, that's what's entertaining. I hate seeing these races where guys starts on the pole, takes off, and checks out, or starts 10th, takes the lead on lap 18, and of a 100 lap, 200 lap race, and then snoozes for the rest.
Yeah.
So.
Well, to be honest with you, I think Port Royal was really exciting. Billy Decker made a charge from 24th, I believe.
Yep.
24th to second. Loudon Reimer, I don't remember where he started, but I know it wasn't right close up to the front. He was buried pretty deep, and he made it up to third. They were both cars really strong at the end. And it was a bit of a tire race. Tire choice was kind of important. And I think track position was really important. I think if you could have seen Billy Decker or Loudon Reimer start a little bit closer to the front, I think those guys had two really good race cars, and it kind of came down to tire issues. They made the right tire choice. Shepard said he went with like a medium compound or whatever, so he was able to get out front. It was another one of them deals. Everybody gets really mad about Matt Shepard winning, but like you watch a lot of his races, and I would say at least a third of them are mostly due to his positioning.
Well, yeah.
He's able to put himself into a position that when guys drop out, he's there.
Oh yeah.
And he's had
ability at all.
He's had a few races, probably a third of his races where he might not have necessarily been the best car, but he was able to be in a position where circumstance had it that it gave him the lead or second or something, a front row spot.
Yeah.
And allowed him to take advantage on a restart or whatever, and then get out front and cruise.
Yeah.
Where I think that the track position was huge on that. I think that's a lot of guys hate on Shepard, but that's probably a big part of why he gets the wins that he gets. Is he puts himself in a position to make circumstance work in his favor.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Billy Decker and Loudon Reimer didn't really have that opportunity. To start up front. Aside from Matt Shepard winning and him winning every stinking thing, it was a phenomenal race. I in the last couple of years, you kind of just watched either dirt car or, Deo series stuff. Shepard pretty much kind of dominate, and you watch the race for second, and the race for second is just phenomenal. Second, third, fourth. It's all right there.
This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Is you take Shepard out of the mix, man. That racing's really close.
Yeah.
And everybody likes to hate on Shepard about how much he wins and everything.
Well, if you don't have a bad guy in racing, then for years it was Hearn.
Yeah, well,
people just hated to see Hearn because he was doing it, and
he's the next Hearn.
And there's a lot of us that are watching Matt Shepard right now that. There's going to be a time where Matt Shepard's going to retire, And we're going to say we got to watch that guy and just watch the magic of, it's one thing you see the guys that, guys back in the, quote, good old days that dominated. It was like, oh, man, it's Dale Earnhardt, Richie Evans. I mean, even, Brett Hearn and Pouch.
Jimmy Horton, Pouch.
Yeah,
there's Bob McCready. There was the guys, man. Jack Johnson.
And
they were the guys.
Yeah, but at that time, while I'm not discrediting them by any means, there's a lot of equipment differences then. Things were a lot more open. If you could hit on something, it was. I'm not gonna say it was easy. It would be easy to dominate. It wouldn't. But
Richard
Petty was the first driver with factory support.
Your window for performance advantage over another team was a lot larger at that time. I think is what you're getting at.
Exactly. And he's doing it when. I'm not gonna say they're cookie cutters, but the cars are just so close now. They're so much closer from first to worst than they were back when back in the good old days.
Yeah.
You got
and then you take one of the best guys from back in the good old days and you pair him up with one of the best guys, millennials.
Yep.
And that's what you've got.
Yeah.
Right there. You've got the best of the best of the old school, and you got the best of the new school who basically went to school and prepared his life to be a race car driver. I mean, that's what he devoted his entire life to, and extracurriculars and schooling, everything to being a race car driver and understanding how to make these cars go. So you pair the best and the best together. Yeah, that's what you're gonna have.
Yeah, we got a comment from Mark Terry that I think we ought to acknowledge.
What's Mark saying?
He's keep beats your Ryan forward. Why don't you allow racers the option of choosing tire compounds as long as we run American Racer tires? That is a very good way to make things very expensive. On a 30 lap feature, 35 lap feature on a weekly show, you gotta limit tire choices, or else you're gonna have the biggest wallets are gonna win. That's my opinion on that one. That's that rule on a level, like a local track level. 30 laps most of the time in 30 laps, you're gonna have enough cautions in there where you're not gonna see the stark differences from one compound to the next. You'll see some, but you're not gonna see, often. That's not to say, we do see every year, every track has a feature or two that goes green to checkers, but my opinion on that one is that's for a weekly track to go just open compound completely. I think there's a reason most of them go to a compound rule.
I can appreciate your opinion. But to me, I guess it doesn't really matter. As a racer, I think I'd raced with my dad for a few years, whatever, and I did some, a number of years of racing on my own at Afton, where the tire compound was open, and I enjoyed it personally as a racer, being able to choose what compound I was on, and some nights it would work in your favor, some nights it would bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
But I think overall you would kind of see most, I watching what other people are on and getting a kind of a good feel of what everybody's running. I think it kind of evens out, where you see probably 80% of the field is on the same compound tire come feature time.
Yeah.
And then you've got your 20% of guys that have tried one way or the other.
Yeah.
I think it kind of evens out over time. And you, like, for weekly 30-lap races, I think where you see most of everybody's running pretty much the same compound tires. And guys that say, oh, you got to have, X amount extra, or, 16 extra wheels and tires to do open compounds. I don't think so. Not if you got a pretty decent program where you know what kind of stagger you want. Typically, you're not going to have too many sets, extra. You wouldn't, weekly.
Yeah.
Like I said, it evens out, and you kind of get in your groove where you figure out your stagger. You figure out that, say a 33 and a 48 works great, or a 44 and a 48 work great, or a pair of 44s work great, and then you stick with that for the most part, for your weekly. And then you might have, one set harder or a set softer just in case,
right.
Weather conditions happen to change a little bit. You know what I mean? And for the most part, I didn't really see that problem too bad when we were racing open tires. But then again, things were cheaper then too, So tires were like $180, $160 to $180. Now they're $250, $280.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah, Mark, that is my opinion. That's what this is about. This is an opinion show. I don't claim to be an expert in modified tires, but this is the little bit that I do know, or that I my feelings on it. I do know that if you're burning off tires, so 33, 38 works really well. It's fast, wicked fast, but you're burning off a set of rears every week. That's not going to be good for the. It's not going to be good for the class. It's not going to be good for the sport. I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. You can be real fast. Everybody can be real fast. It can be a good even tire for everybody. Everybody's on it. But if you're burning them off, and you're having to buy two new tires every week, how long is that gonna? The guys that can afford to do it, great. But the guys that can't, again, we're going back to that front half of the field doesn't pay. The back half of the field is what keeps the tracks open. If you got 10 cars in every class, your track, in a stock car track, you're closed. You need full fields, and it's the guys that aren't running top 5, top 10 that are ones that keep they're crucial to keeping the track open. And if you run them out of business, by doing that, then it's that's not good for the track. And that's one thing is like it's to me, like, from a track promoter's perspective, I mean, we're always looking. You got to look out for the track too. You put a tire rule in place, guys are going to run a tire rule. I mean, guys, if you leave the track, if you stop running a track because, oh man, you got to run 44, 48 or harder, that's crap because I'm faster on a 30 whatever, then that's just that you're not.
Well, I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is, it's up to these tracks to make the decisions and rule changes or whatever they need to do to be able to survive, right? And then it's up to us as a racer to adapt and to pick and choose and decide what is financially the best for us, and what out of what this promoter's got and this promoter's got. It's up to me as the racer to decide what financially is my best option. What suits me best in either travel expenses, or am I not really worried about how much fuel I put in the truck to get to the racetrack? Am I more concerned about my tires lasting me?
Well, right.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I've had so many people say, this is the argument or whatever, why do you run American Racer? Well, because 5 miles right down the road and Penn Can's right down the road, and those are the tires that they run, right? Oh, well, you burn up a set of tires every week at 5 Mile. Yeah, well, I burn up a set of tires every week at 5 Mile. But if you go to Thunder Mountain, you're not going to burn up a set of tires. You're just going to spend an extra $150 worth of fuel every week to get up there. Right. So I mean, I think it balances out, and you just, a driver needs to make, or a team needs to make the decisions, as to what financially or best suits them. Honestly, is what it comes down to.
I understand the racer's perspective on it.
Well, I just think a lot of people are all up in arms over the changes that have happened or whatever, and they're all feeling some type of way, and I think that's the reality of it. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what, you did at your go-kart track or Brian Mills did at his go-kart track or Alex Carmody did at his go-kart track. I need to take a look at all three of those options, right? Yeah. As a racer. And I need to decide what one or which multiple ones are gonna best suit me and
right. I understand that.
My racing. I think that's what most people need to focus on and not the butthurt over
my reason behind
a track making a change.
Believe me, I understand the racer's perspective. I fully understand that. My reason behind bringing that up was because Mark had said, Keith Beecher, Ronnie Ford, why don't you allow? And I am trying to explain from a promoter's perspective why they don't allow that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm trying to say for a racer's aspect or I guess maybe not really a racer's aspect of it, but just the reality of it and how we're all going to manage and survive is not pissing and moaning about this guy did this and this guy did that. I can't worry about what they did. I have no control over what they chose to do as a promoter for their tires, whatever. They make the best decision that they can make and go with whatever they need to do that they feel like they'll keep their facility going and up and running and profitable. I can't control what you do.
Right.
I have to just take those options and look at what best suits me and go with that and live my life and race. That's what it's all about. I think there's a lot of people out there that are upset one way or the other. And I think that's what all really it needs to happen is because none of the track bashing or the back talk is helping any of it at all.
No. That's like the drivers and the promoters are quite often at odds, on how things should be done. That's one thing that I've learned. It didn't take me long to learn. The drivers are looking out for themselves, and the track promoters are looking out for their tracks. Right. Drivers want what's going to be best for them personally, and the promoters. That's why you see rules that they ruffle some feathers, but and tire rules are one of the big things.
Tires are definitely probably at the helm of it all. Yep.
Yep, but So let's jump in.
We got some comments or anything?
We got some. It's a lot of the same stuff. The tire stuff. But,
we're
gonna run in circles if we keep talking tires here.
Well, I probably hurt some people's feelings in saying what I said about.
I know I did.
You gotta. You gotta look at it. As a, with some sort of perspective. Yeah. That's the ultimate, thing here. And at the end of the day, you just need to make the best decision for yourself and your race team and your budget, and kind of adapt to the rules and the specifications that are put in place for your class. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. And complaining about one thing or another isn't going to get anything changed. Trust me, I've banged my head off the tower wall at 5 Mile Point complaining to Andy about one thing or another, and let me tell you, all it gave me was a headache. So, All
right, let's move right along here. Nate Aldridge, car show thoughts.
Oh my goodness, I love car shows.
Yeah, car shows. We need car shows, the parades, stuff like that. These car parades, anything we can do to get cars and carts in front of fans, in front of potential fans. In front of new faces, people that maybe have never been to a race before, is potentially good for a sport. I know I talked to a track promoter up on the north, a little farther north and east of here. That they're starting a juice box class up at their track. They were at a car show last weekend, and they had one guy actually ordered one on the spot on his phone when he saw one. What's this? It was they got it sounds like the Southern Tier car show. It sounds like may see its return next year. Paul Small is backing that one. He's taking it up on that. It sounds like we're back at at the mall or whatever they're calling it now, Oakdale Commons.
Yeah.
Sounds like next February, March, which is great. Their car show this weekend at Beer 30.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that if you didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, can't miss that one. I wish I could be there. We got our track
Yeah, unfortunately, Gary had asked me about if I was gonna be able to put a car in, and unfortunately, just with the banquet being the same day and crunch time, towards the end of getting the cars ready here, unfortunately I can't make it. But I think that's a great thing. Car shows are phenomenal for the sport. Always gets everybody pumped and jazzed about the upcoming racing season. And if you can make it out to Beer 30, definitely get yourself down there and check out some race cars. I know Gary's got a few some guys showing up with cars. So unfortunately, I'll be unable to attend. I'll be at I know, and we're missing out on our podium finish with the trivia again.
Yeah. So they're doing trivia night
Trivia.
Brad and I. We don't know where we finished because Nate decided to just tear up the sheets after they had their.
We were in the top three.
Yeah, we were definitely
top three.
And
then the time before that, we were teamed up. We won it. So
Craig, what I missed on tell you, you're gonna have to scroll. You're gonna have to rewind, Craig. We're not going through this again.
check back in later.
Yeah, check in later. We'll
get back to that on the replay.
Yeah. But Nate's oops. Yeah, because we really want to know. It was either second or third. We're pretty sure because we had some good answers. Luckily, Brad had me to carry him.
Yeah. Okay. We did our part. We both did our part of sabotaging our score. I would say.
Yeah, we still did. We beat Alex Stanton's team. And
that's all that matters.
That was the goal. That's
all that matters.
We started out. We set a goal of beating Alex Stanton's team, and
all right. I was to say mostly because my significant other was on the team.
Oh, that was your reason. I just wanted to beat Alex Stanton. I know it'll never happen on the track, so I might as well try to do it on the trivia.
Well, I couldn't let Kara beat me. I couldn't let Kara beat me in trivia.
That would have been. You never would have heard the end of it.
No, absolutely not.
But one more. Here's another good one. Barry Goodman. I think it was Barry. Best track food.
Best track food. Oh my goodness. Do you really want me to, okay? Are we going locally? Local track Penn Can 5 Mile, Thunder Mountain, or best track food out of anywhere you've ever been.
Travel as far as you got to find good food.
Okay. Locally, you have to go with the elephant ears or the fried dough at Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, but I usually have to stop in Green on the way home and use the Rabbito facilities.
Well, I don't care. It's still pretty darn good going in. Then as you get a little bit further up Route 12 there, I'd say ice cream at Utica Rome.
Ice cream?
Yep,
that was the first place I had pizza logs.
Oh yeah, pizza logs are good.
I was introduced to pizza logs, and that was a life changer.
Pizza logs are definitely good, but I'd say ice cream. I'm going to mostly desserts here, but okay.
Well,
it's ice cream at Utica Rome, the elephant ears at Thunder Mountain, and if I'm going actually food, pierogies at Penn Can.
Absolutely, pierogies at Penn Can. That was one thing I didn't get to Penn Can very often when I was growing up, because living in Sydney most of my life, I was 10 minutes from Afton. Or when I was at Sydney Center, it was 20 minutes from Afton. So Penn Can was an hour ride for me, close to it. So, but I know I always look forward to the pierogies. I am so glad that there's still pierogies at Penn Can. And if any track promoter ever goes in there at any point down the road and they do away the pierogies, I'm doing away with Penn Can. And just for the record, track promoters, if it's not a Hoffman, it's not a hot dog. All right.
Well, you had 5 Mile was always Hoffman hot dogs.
Yeah, if it's Hoffman hot dog. If you're selling hot dogs and they're not hot and you're not offering Hoffman, listen. If you want to have a $3 Hoffman hot dog, I'll gladly pay $3 for a Hoffman hot dog. You want to have your dollar dogs? You want to have your cheap economy made from all the
Oscar Mayer wieners.
Yeah, if you want to have your dollar dogs, that's fine too. But give me the option. I wanna feel that snap when I bite into my hot dog, and if I don't, I'm disappointed, and I'm gonna tell everybody that listens to me that I had a hot dog and it was absolute shit.
Oh, Brandon.
I'm sorry. I'm a little.
You like your hot dogs, don't you?
You're a
hot dog snob.
I'm not a hot dog
snob.
I don't like most hot dogs. I like Hoffman's hot dogs. And
those are the only hot dogs you like?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, well, hot topic on the racing scene. Hoffman hot dogs or no dogs?
Brandon, you gotta have the hot. If you vote against Hoffman's hot dogs, I don't like you anymore. So we got, let's see, Zach Collins. Brandon, what's your goal as a promoter for this year for the carts?
Answer away. I can't handle that.
Yeah, that's, survive?
Survive. I think that's every promoter's goal.
Yeah, that's every promoter's goal. I want to see, obviously growth is always the key. Overall growth. As long as my tracks aren't losing money on a weekly basis, I'm content. I don't care whether we're making a whether
substantial
we're making a substantial amount. I mean, obviously you got to make enough to keep going. It's got to be profitable. But I mean, I was always wanted to pour the money back into the track, whether it's buying equipment or and a lot of stuff people couldn't see. They're like, you're not putting any money, except for the fact that water pump and generator here and tractor
hoses
here and hoses and attachments and hoses. Spent $1,500 trying to build a sprinkler system that didn't work out. Survive and help grow the sport. I mean, we've got a lot of other tracks that are popping up. I'll do whatever I can to help. The tracks like Adrenaline Mountain and and Cincinnatus, they're Red Lion. Penn Can, I think, is going to be on another level this year. Penn Can right now. Penn Can is the track that I fear could actually put the biggest hurting on me with guys choosing to go racing on Sundays down there. Now they're, they see pictures. They got walls up and
the facility looks great.
Yeah, and we've got some other stuff. We got the $10,000 race, the $10,000 clone race. One of my goals this year is that to be not losing thousands of dollars on that. I think it's my gut's telling me it's gonna be a big success. It's going to be, I don't even know if there's ever been a $10,000 race for go-karts in New York. They do happen down south pretty regularly. But, my goal is to make it out of that one unscathed or a few bucks ahead and maybe be able to, if I could do well enough on that, maybe we could do like track champion jackets or something like that for next year, for the, next year's postseason. That
would be cool.
Awards.
Track champion jackets. You definitely. That's one of the highlights. I think, especially nowadays, almost is the jacket. The jacket's the more coveted than the trophy. Sometimes.
I've more expensive.
I've wanted a track championship jacket for years and years and years. I've seen my dad had a bunch. My uncle had one, and I've always wanted one of my own. So, I think that's kind of the jackets are cool. Really cool. Yeah. I think those are the more coveted sometimes than the trophies.
Especially in the karting world, the jacket is looked at like if you've got a leather jacket, you've done something.
That is the cool thing about the karts is the karting jacket is an actual karting jacket, like a fire suit. You're racing with it.
Yeah.
Versus, something that you're wearing around the racetrack or wearing out to dinner or something that says your name on it and whatnot.
Yeah,
and you actually wear it when you're racing.
Yeah, you roll up behind somebody and they got their last name lettered across the back of their leather jacket. There's probably something such and such track championship on the front. And James is not kidding. I don't know how these tracks can afford to do them because they're like $400, $400 to $500 a jacket to do those custom leather jackets. It's a lot of coin. That's why we haven't done them. I just can't. Especially between two tracks. Even with one track, talking between $4,000 and $5,000 to we got 10 classes.
Yeah.
You do two tracks like I can't do it. There ain't that kind of money in my tracks. Josh Brown, can I make my own that says track champion? Absolutely. You want to do that? Have at it. Velocita does them. Talk to Doug O'Hara. He had one done up for last year. He can point you in the right direction on who to talk to there. And jump change. Yeah, okay, Josh.
Maybe you could do a partnership or something with Velocita, and to offer the option, like if you're a track champion, if you want to pay to have a jacket made, you could, like I said,
absolutely,
little partnership with 10 jackets or something from Velocita if the customer or whatever the track champion pays for them.
Yep.
Maybe you could do something like that. That'd be cool.
Right. But
jackets are cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
They are. You brought it up, and
I wish I could. I don't know how Alex pulled it off. I know the year we started.
Well, you didn't have as many classes, right? You
only had we didn't have many carts.
Yeah.
It was Mark, why does that have to be a leather jacket? It's safety. You're skidding down the track. You got a hot exhaust right next to your arm. That's why they do leather. But yeah, Alex, I got a sweet jacket. I won
very cool.
Budget Predator track champion the first year that 2020 when we were I started out the year in sprint cars. I had no idea halfway through the year I'd be on a go kart. But Alex did some really nice jackets for. I think he just did the adult class, but you're still talking 4 or 5 jackets. You're still talking $2,500, and it was cool as hell. And I still wear it weekly, although I'm starting to outgrow it a little bit. I'm going with getting tall. I'm growing and becoming an adult.
Growing with knowledge.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just being stored in my gut.
Yeah.
But let's see. Nash Ford, what is your favorite class? Your favorite racing class?
Man, I don't know. Hard to say. I think, my favorite class that I've raced, I'd say the most fun just because you go the fastest is the modifieds. But I think I really enjoyed all the classes that I raced. I like the sportsman class because, it's a little bit more affordable for myself to run. And there's a bit of camaraderie there with some of your guys. It's not quite as cutthroat, because the higher you move up, the more cutthroat it gets. So it's a little bit more laid back in that aspect. But I really enjoyed the IMCA class as well. I ran the IMCA modifieds for a number of years, and man, those cars are a lot of fun to drive. They're tricky. They're not an easy car to drive by any means, and it makes it's an awful lot of fun when you can go door handle to door handle with some of your competitors and wheel those things knowing how hard they are to drive. So I can't really say that I've got a favorite per se. I liked all the classes that I drive or have driven, but my favorite to watch by far, hands down, is the late models. Yeah,
I'm going to go as far as what I've driven. I mean, obviously the non-wing sprint's a ton of fun. I wasn't very good at it. It was frustrating for me. I know if we kept going with it, it just made me want to work harder at figuring it out. And I was finally starting to figure it out when they dropped the class and the class kind of disappeared. But I will say, of all the race cars that I've driven, by far the most fun one to drive was the IMCA modified. I only ran them a couple times. I ran Tommy Eichler's car in mechanics race at Thunder Mountain, and I ran.
You're lucky to get into a good car.
Well, there's that. They definitely look. If you don't have a good car, it looks like
they could get frustrated.
Yeah, it looks like they get real frustrated. I know a lot of guys have gotten into it and gotten out because they got frustrated. But then I drove Casey Cole's car in
another good car.
Yeah, another good car. Mechanics race at Acton one night, and but man, they were Tommy's car was I didn't really screw up much.
It was that Cadillac to drive. Tommy had a really, really good car.
It was
when you were running
like an 07 Harris or something like that.
Yeah, right around that time when he was running Thunder, he had a spanking good car.
Yeah, he did. and Casey's car. I don't know what it was, but I know it
It
has
was a BMS. It was top.
That's right. And
it was a newer BMS.
Had a 604 crate in it, if I remember correctly.
Yep, probably at the end there, he had a crate in his car.
Yeah, I remember Danny Ballard was driving Bo's car. Now Danny was
an IMCA racer for a number of years.
And I was able to, for the most part, to stay with him. A couple times I stuck my nose underneath and got the car down off the bars and figured out how bad an idea that is, because it takes you half a lap to get back where you need to be. You get off and going in the corner.
In the groove again, back in your rhythm.
Yeah, and but I felt like with a little more time I could do pretty well in those. Probably if I were ever to get back into big car racing, that's a class I would very strongly look at.
Well,
but
sorry, I was just adding into that. Awesome, really fun cars to drive. I would say setup wise, probably the hardest to get back to where you were if you wrecked it really good.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think those probably are the hardest that I've dealt with or whatever to get back to where you were if you've wrecked it good.
Well, when you got a lot of adjustment like they do, then you got a lot of mistakes you can make.
And a lot of things that can get out of place.
Yeah, but as far as watching, I don't think you're going to find anything crazier than 410 non-wing sprint cars. Spectating, they are an absolute blast to watch. And I did notice that USAC Northeast is going to 410s next year.
Nice.
They put that out today, so they're going from the 360s to the 410s for next year, and I will be doing some traveling to find them.
I see Facebook here. Tom Radavoy got a 410 going here. I don't know if you friends with him or on Facebook or not.
I am, yeah.
I've seen in his posts there. He was, I think he was out at Bridgeport practicing that. So, Tom's a good buddy of mine. I wish him the best luck with the 410 this year. And
absolutely great dude.
Hopefully, he has some success, and we get to our paths cross on our travels, and we get to see him.
Yeah, he ran a lot of the non-wing stuff when I was promoting the sprint cars. And then he put remember him trimming the trees at with the wing on it at Penn Can one night.
Yeah.
He did that. But
it's always fun to watch. I enjoy watching Tom race. Yeah. And then you could definitely check him out on Facebook and his videos, and posts on Facebook where he's at.
Yep. But all right, looks like we're winding down.
Winding down to our.
We got any
last few comments
here for anybody? Give it another minute or so. But yeah, so just while you're getting thoughts, let's. Didn't he win the first two? He did not win it. No, the first 212 was run by Travis Brockman. Thomas.
He led a lot of laps.
Yeah, Thomas led. Well, I think he led a bunch.
He led a lot of laps.
I know.
I was rooting for him.
Steve Judd led 100. He was
146
laps.
Steve led a lot as well.
Yeah.
But I was rooting for Tom. He was right there at the end.
Yeah. He was top three.
He was making that race exciting for sure.
He took home some lap money on that deal. But yeah, so. But I guess we've had about enough for one night. It's been an hour and 10 minutes. This is kind of the time frame that we're shooting for. I know we go a little longer than that sometimes, but it gets a little starts to go a little while. But thanks for joining us. Remember, Dust Pods. I know you got your track promoters out here. I know we got several that are in here watching. Dust Control. If you get a hold of me, if you're like, I wonder, get a hold of me. Let me explain it to you. Let me talk to you. Discount code XX. If you're gonna go buy it online, it's not terribly priced stuff. It's not like the other track additives that I've looked at where you're gonna spend thousands of dollars applying it. It's nothing like that. But discount code's XX. It's spell it out DOUBLEX. If you go to the Dust Pods website, and that's a pretty substantial discount too. I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's a lot. It's a good one. So yeah, check them out. And and our other sponsors. Let me pull up that list here because I try to pull it off the top of my head and I always forget about myself. So we got Dust Pods, Champion Cartway, Pitside Kart Supply. I'll hand it over to Brad to pitch his sponsors one more time.
Yeah, Brad Weaver Racing, obviously myself and Brandon for putting on the show. Thanking Heinz Energy for coming on board, Snake Creek Marine as well, and Liberty Carpet in Halstead, PA. So that's about it for now. And
as always, we are powered by AG Video. This is Brandon Clapperton and Brad Weaver. XX Download episode 13. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.